Hello. Welcome back to another video in my daily upload series for the month of November. Today, I am sketching out page 7 of Trailblazers Chapter 0. Please enjoy. And for today's topic, I really wanted to talk about video games, and specifically the impact they've had on my creative journey. Video games are really interesting. They, first and foremost, present an opportunity to interact with the medium. This is very foreign to other types of media that is consumed. Books, comics, TV, movies, all of them require you to sit and watch, sometimes stand. And really, you're just passively viewing not only narratives, but artistry. And a lot of the techniques that these mediums use to immerse you are built upon that premise, but video games don't have to do that. Because you have to play a game, or at least that's the thought process, you have to interact in some way, shape, or form, even if it's as simple as pressing the A button or the X button, or I'm sorry, Sony, the cross button. Then that in and of itself has forced you to work in some way, shape, or form, in some capacity. And it's that concept of how you get the player to work that dictates what the gameplay experience is and what type of effect it can have on a person. For a video game, a person can be enamored by just the experience of playing it, nothing to do with the story at all. That's why, in my opinion, I see things like multiplayer games, like first-person shooters where you get to play with a lot of people, Battle Royale, that type of stuff. It's really popular because you're relishing in an experience that you can only have in those types of games, and you can do it with other people, which is really cool. But for me personally, being a creative and being so enamored with stories from a very young age, like I was reading novels when I was 5, that was my thing. I loved being immersed in a good book. The transition from novels to video games was huge because I was more so a part of the story than ever before. Whereas I was just reading about fantasy before, I could live a fantasy in a video game. And so what I've realized is a lot of the time when I think about artists that really motivate me, they tend to be on the side of video games. They tend to be video game directors or people involved in creating video games. Shigenori Soejima, Yoshida Akihiko, Tetsuya Nomura, Yoshitaka Amano. These are some big names in the video game industry, and they're known either for their art or their game development or both. And I find myself more readily able to talk about these people and reference them than I am about manga artists. Although it's not to say that I don't have manga influence. I think a really big one for me is Shinobu Otaka, and of course Masashi Kishimoto was the original reference for me. But I'm more readily able to speak on video games. And that's because the lasting impact of the interactivity of video games is super memorable. And one thing that's cool about video games is that when you're going through the journey, the grind, you feel like you're not just training your characters. In some ways, you're training yourself because you're learning, you're growing, you're adapting to the scenario. And that sense of learning and growing really helps you immerse yourself more in your character's shoes. And when you go up against a boss fight or a really tough enemy, you're challenged, but it's not just you being challenged, it's the characters you're playing as being challenged too. So the divide between fiction and nonfiction shortens in that interval. And you can really relish in the experience as if you experienced it yourself. So maybe that's why from the very beginning, even though I didn't have a lot of skill when I first started, I was always so focused on getting feeling and emotion across in my art. I thought that was the penultimate because all of my inspiration was automatically doing that because of the product they were producing in the medium they were working with. And even narratively, like I think my writing has been heavily influenced by video games as well. But yeah, I don't think I would be the same type of creative that I am today without the influence of video games on my life. And just to name a few, you've got Pokemon, you've got Kingdom Hearts, you've got Fire Emblem, you've got Persona, Final Fantasy, Xenoblade Chronicles, the Nier series, which is a bit more recent, The World Ends With You, which recently got a sequel announced, hurrah, and other stellar experiences just really helped influence and motivate the type of person I want to be and the type of art I wanted to produce genre-wise as well. But yeah, that's all I got. That's why I think video games play an important role in my creative journey and will continue to do so going forward. But for anyone that watches this video, a question to you. Have video games influenced your creative journey, and how? Leave those answers in the comments down below so I can take a read. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my Instagram and Discord server. Links in the description box below. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.